Hey there guys, welcome back to ARTFX Studios, and this is the third in a row of videos about bass design. In this particular one, I'm gonna talk about how to create a saw wave talking bass line that you hear a lot in tracks by Feed Me. I mean, he has used it in a couple of tracks of his, and it's a pretty cool sound. I found out how to make it in a plugin that I've got. I haven't done any tutorials yet on this plugin, so I'm really stoked to do a tutorial about it today. The plugin is gonna be Reveal Sound Spire. Spire is a great plugin, and it's absolutely amazing in terms of how it sounds. And it has some really interesting filters, and those filters are the ones I'm going to use today. So let's get started. I've already created a MIDI clip. And as you can see, that MIDI clip is pretty simple. It's not that difficult. So let's load up Spire. I'm gonna put it on the MIDI track I've already got here. And by default, it selects the first preset. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna click this init button, which initializes the patch. Now, another thing I need to do, because this patch is obviously going to be played in a legato type of way, so only one note can be played at a time. Right here at the top, under modes, it's going to say polyphonic, and it has 4 voices, as a maximum amount of voices. I'm going to change that polyphonic to monophonic. Now, I can only play one note at a time. And when it would be at polyphonic, you can play chords. Now, I don't want to play chords, so I'm going to set this to mono, because then I can actually play multiple notes and it will glide between these notes. So that's really interesting. By default, it selects a saw wave, so I can show you how this sounds right now. Now, that's pretty okay, you know, it's pretty good, but it needs to be lower. So I'm gonna put this at -3 octaves. So now it already gets a little bit more of a, well, interesting kind of feeling. Now I'm gonna set up the filter. The first filter I'm going to use is a low pass filter, so let's drag this down a little bit. And by default, the envelope number 3 is connected to the first cutoff. So I can play around with this. Okay, that sounds pretty cool. Let's make it a little bit wider. Okay. What I now like to do, and this will create the initial talking effect. I'm first gonna drag this level up a little bit, because it's quite quiet. That. And now what I'm gonna do is right here under the effects tab, I'm gonna go to phaser. The phaser is really interesting, and the most interesting part of the phaser itself is that it comes with multiple different stages. So by default it selects the 4 stages, which means you sort of like get a pretty distinctive phaser sound. 1 stage is a little bit less obvious, and 6 stages is, well, a really phasey kind of sound. Now you also notice that at the bottom you've got 3 vowel type modes. I'm gonna select the vowel low for this one, and I'm also going to bring the dry wet up all the way. So let's see how this sounds. Okay, so that's pretty interesting. one thing I don't like about it, this plugin, is that you cannot sync the rate of the phaser. So I need to guess and listen really closely to see if the phaser is working in a rhythmic kind of way. If I want this to sort of like morph over time during this 4 bars, then I will have to, tweak it to make it sound right. Instead, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put the rate down all the way, and I'm gonna put the depth down all the way as well. Now, we don't get any of that movement on the filter, and that is actually what I want, because now what I can do is I can go to my Max for Live effects browser and take the Max for Live LFO. You gotta take the MIDI LFO, by the way. Take the MIDI LFO by Max for Live, put it before Spire, and my computer is freaking out for a little moment. There we have it. I can sync this to, let's say, 4 bars, and I'm gonna press configure on Spire. Then I'll move that frequency of the vowel filter, and now I can press the map button right here on the LFO and connect that to the phaser frequency. So if I now play this, it sounds a lot better. I'm gonna bring this rate up to 8, and I'm gonna play around with the phase. And I can play around a little bit with the depth. Okay, so it sounds pretty good. One thing I don't like is that it starts over, so I'm gonna make this 8 bars instead of 4. And let's also copy this. And let's play around with that phase. Yeah, that sounds really good. Now, what I can do is I can play around with the dry wet of this if I want. So if I put this at 50, we get more of the saw wave as well. I think I'm gonna keep it at the full wet signal. And what I can also do is I can click this pre button. And what that means is that the phaser is gonna be in front of the wave shaper that's here. So if I click that pre button, at first you won't notice any difference, but as soon as I start using the shaper, you can really start to hear a difference. Let's add some drive. So listen to without the pre-phaser. And then we do the pre-button enabled. So that sounds much better, and I can play around a little bit with this. So I really like that. What I'm now going to do is I'm going to group this particular one in an instrument rack, and I'm now going to duplicate this chain. So it might take a little while to do that because it has that Max for Life device in it. Set the rate to the same position like that. Okay, now it's already connected to the phaser frequency, and it saves that particular position. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make the second layer a little bit different. I'm going to put it one octave higher, so now we get this. Which sounds pretty cool. And now I'm gonna take the vowel mid. That sounds pretty good. Now together, they don't really sound the way I want it, but that is because I need to EQ this. The bottom layer is only going to provide some of the high end to the actual bass line. So I can high pass this. And this one I'm going to high pass this as well. About here. Let's see how these two sound together now. And let's see. Let's put the phase at a different position of the second one. So I pretty much like this. I can, however, play around a little bit. Let's see. So I'm going to add another Max for Live device. Let's see. Let's take a Max audio effect. Let's take the LFO. I'm going to stick it in front of the EQ. And I'm going to set the rate to sync as well. Let's set this to a 1/4. Let's map this to the frequency knob of, or frequency thing. And I'm going to set the depth to something fairly low. Bring the offset up a lot. So that sounds pretty cool. I'm also gonna duplicate this one. And now I'm going to unmap this. And then I'm gonna map this one to the gain of this particular one. So let's see what's happening now. So that sounds pretty good. Both of these layers are high passed right now. And I'm going to add another spire. So let's duplicate this chain again. And my computer is still really not happy with me. Take away the LFO Max for Live instrument and let's take out the EQ. Let's solo this particular one. Sounds like that. I'm going to take off the tube. Put the dry wet at 0. I'm also going to put the dry wet of the phaser at 0. Now we end with a simple saw wave. I'm going to put the wavetable mix at fully to the right, which gives us this bottom waveform that's selected here, and that is a sine wave. So now we get that. I'm going to put this 1 octave down. So that sounds pretty good. I'm going to set the glide at 260, but I haven't done that in the other two, so I need to go back and set this to 60, or what was it, 260? And I'm going to set this one to 260 as well. I'm not too happy with the sub yet. Let's put it 1 octave higher. Sounds much better. Let's put the cutoff all the way up and the resonance all the way down. Because we don't need anything going on the filter. Now I'm gonna add the shaper with a little bit of soft shaping. Just adding some subtle harmonics to that sub bass. So let's see how that sounds. I'm gonna add an EQ8 to the sub. Let's low pass it. It's about right. Let's see how it sounds with a kick drum underneath it. That sounds pretty cool. Now one octave below. Let's see. Sounds pretty cool. Let's add a clap and a hi-hat. And finally, I could add some sidechain compression to this. Select the, let's see, audio number 5, the kick drum. Select that one. Let's use an EQ version and just bring that down. No attack. And right now I'm at 110. If I put this at 128, you're gonna get electro house kind of vibe. Maybe some more sidechaining. I found that at slower tempos it actually sounds pretty damn good. So, there you have it. That's how you create an interesting saw wave, kinda like talking bassline that you hear a lot in tracks from Feed Me. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions regarding this video or any of the other videos, then please leave a comment below and I'll get back at you as soon as possible. Another thing you can do if you think your question requires an in-depth answer, then come to my website, register for the forum, and post your question on there in the production category. By doing that, I can come back at you with a detailed description with possibly screenshots and much more text than I'm allowed to do on, for instance, Twitter. If you want to see more of these videos, then please subscribe to this channel and I'll keep you up to date with all the latest videos. And so I just hope you like these videos. If you do, then please share and like them, because that helps me to become a better YouTuber. Other than that, I think this sound came out pretty well. The preset is going to be available on my website for all VIP members. You do need to have Spire as a plugin to be able to use this, but if you have Spire, and honestly, Spire is not that expensive and it's a great plugin. I mean, the filters in there are really interesting. Really great filters, and it's not as versatile as, for instance, Massive is, but it's a really decent plugin. I mean, it also has AM synthesis and FM synthesis, so that's pretty interesting as well. And other than that, it just works like a great plugin. I had great fun making this video, and I hope to see you back next Thursday, Friday, something like that. See ya. Peace.